Hey everyone, thanks for joining this day of live, and it's the 5th day today of November live video challenge. And today I'm going to be talking about money tips for early in your career. So most of these things could probably work for later in your career, mid-career as well, but I think that the best thing to do if you ever are able to is just be aware of how your financial decisions early on in life can actually compound, really level up over time and put you in a good place financially. If you just learn the best way to navigate these things, understand a couple of the ground rules of how navigating and managing your funds could actually make your life a lot easier for you, not only just down the line, but even today. Just having control over your financial situation is so much better than feeling like you're constantly chasing success or chasing these things that maybe other people have. And that's kind of the first tip I have for anyone early in their career is don't really look to other people, what they're buying, what they're spending money on, because that is just a trap waiting to happen there. And what happens is you're constantly going to be looking for other people's ideas to try to find some ways to fulfill that and find value in those things. But they don't necessarily have the same situation you do. I know this was a situation I ran into with one of my clients early on where they're like, oh, like, I don't know, my friends constantly are going to weddings, they're constantly traveling, they have all these different things that they're spending money on. And I feel like we need to do those things too, but we have these goals that are important to us. And I just had to remind them that they probably are not working with a financial planner. They probably are not planning or caring as much as maybe you guys are about your financial situation. And so you can't really base your decisions or the purchases you're going to make off of somebody else, because they may not be planning at all. They may be in a different financial situation. Maybe they have parents helping out. There's so many different ways that things could happen where you never want to base your financial decision off of, oh, well, they're able to buy this or they're able to afford this, so that means I should be able to because I'm the same career or the same level in our career, the same neighborhood, those types of things. A lot of times that's what happens. We fall into those categories of thinking, well, if they have this, why can't I do that too? And it's because they probably were not planning and they probably just have a different situation altogether. And so those are something that you need to be aware of early on. Don't judge or base your life and your financial decisions off of what's going on with other people, because that's going to be super important. Another thing that's important early on in your career is to start saving. And a good way to think about this is paying yourself first. So usually you get your paycheck. Technically, you're not the one that gets paid first. It's the federal government. The taxes are usually withheld, Social Security, Medicare. But after that, pay yourself first. Hopefully, you'll have a 401k, some type of benefit there where you can pay yourself first to that retirement account and get some tax benefits there. But then also, you probably need an emergency savings or maybe some fun goals that are coming up, like travel, vacation, birthdays, weddings, first house purchases. These are all things that if you save for them, it's really a good thing. You don't want to wait until last minute and then all of a sudden say, oh, yep, we're going to go on vacations and be $3,000 and you didn't save up for it, because what you're going to do is you're going to throw that on a credit card and really tighten your ability to navigate your other financial situations. And you'll probably end up paying a whole bunch of money in interest and debt and things like that. So if you pay yourself first, it will kind of all line up. And I like to call people really good. They're kind of money ninjas at basically spending every single penny that you have. So most people in America live paycheck to paycheck, and that works really well until there's an emergency, right? So it's good if you're able to make it work and things are going smooth, but all it takes is one emergency, really, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, to really set you up for a downward spiral and put you behind the eight ball and makes it hard to recover from those situations. So paying yourself first, putting into a savings account, that's going to allow you to absorb some of these shocks, some of these emergency situations, as well as just be more confident. Like, hey, I can go travel. I don't have to really worry about it because I've already got 6 months of savings that I can apply towards this. So you'll be more confident. You'll start building good habits too. So that's another good thing. If you put the saving first, then you guarantee that you're going to save that month. Basically, what happens for most people is because they are money ninjas and they're really good at spending all the way down to like the last dollar before they get that next paycheck infusion, is if you say that you're going to save if there's anything left at the end of the month, there's almost never anything left at the end of the month. So do the savings first and you'll realize like, oh, yep, money, there's nothing left at the end, but at least you saved first. And so you're ahead of the game there. So it's kind of a trick that you play on yourselves and you'll end up ahead for it. So make sure that you save first. There's also this awesome thing that doesn't feel real. You may have never heard of it. It's called compound interest. And basically what that is if you're investing and you're getting any type of return, whether it's interest or just growth in like a stock or something like that, basically what compound interest does is that gets reinvested the following year. So if you gained $7,000 of interest or $7,000 of a gain on your stock, well, if you keep that invested, now that can also grow the following year on top of your initial 100,000, just kind of using that as a quick example. So instead of just getting $7,000 next year, you're going to get another 7% on the 7,000 plus 7% on 100,000 potentially. So that's where the compound interest really starts ratcheting up. It starts out small, but after a couple of years, it really snowballs to be a huge force, something that only time helps build that up way faster. So if you start early on, you're going to be in a better off position for that. Another thing to be aware of, so not only just looking at other people and kind of gauging off of them where you're going to be spending your money and what types of things that you might want to enjoy, there's just natural lifestyle creep that occurs. So if you get pay raises, if you, one thing I've seen, and this happens both in my industry as well as the industry I help my clients mostly, so within financial planners kind of lives as well as tech professionals, there's usually a lot of room for growth from your early career salary to having just even 1 or 2 years of experience. It can jump dramatically. And one of the things I see happen is people get into the career, they start hearing what the different salaries are going to be a couple of years from now, and they're like, oh, okay, I can afford a lot more than I was expecting then, because you're planning on spending the money already before you've gotten that huge pay raise. And what happens is you're kind of constantly chasing after keeping up basically with your spending habits. If you are basing your purchase decisions, your home purchase decision, your vehicle purchases, all these different things based off of what your salary is going to be in a year or two, you don't want to do that. Live with what you have now. If it goes up, that's awesome. Save a portion of that and spend a portion of that. I'm all for balancing these things out. You don't have to save everything. You don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. And so what you want to do is just have a general plan, save first, pay yourself first, and then you still get to spend money. So that's one of the nice things about saving first is, yep, we put that amount away to make sure we're going to take care of the future you, but that doesn't mean that the current you can't spend what is remaining. And it just makes sure that you are doing both the right thing and something that's going to be enjoyable for you too. So with lifestyle creep, that's the biggest curse when it comes to increasing incomes is you're like, oh man, I keep getting like a $10,000 raise or a $20,000 raise every single year. This is just going to keep going up, up, and up like an elevator. And you just constantly, if you're pushing your lifestyle to those raises and then expecting those raises too, that's just a tough spot to put yourself in. One of the things that's interesting about the pandemic and everything that happened with unemployment and kind of all the craziness going on, unemployment only covers a chunk of your income if you're a higher earning individual. And so what happens is if you live that lifestyle creep, you get up to $120,000 annual salary and you get laid off, unemployment's only going to cover like 30 to 40,000 of that. And so if you're used to living off that full 120,000, you're going to feel that pain really quick. And if you haven't done the right things, if you hadn't been paying yourself first all along the way, you're going to start having to worry about foreclosures on your home, going into massive debt, struggling not only financially, but this stuff impacts our lives and relationships. So there could be a lot of stress impacted to any relationships that you have and family and just your overall health too. If you're not feeling good, if things are just kind of crumbling around you financially, it's going to impact your health, your life, and everything. So you do want to make sure that you are doing the right things and making sure you're paying yourself first and saving, and especially as your income increases, because you don't have that same type of safety net as someone that makes $40,000 a year. And if they get laid off, well, unemployment will actually cover a majority of that lost income. Very different for someone making 120,000. So you don't want to live too much on the edge when it comes to, yeah, you have a great salary, but those things can disappear like that. Massive unemployment in tech occurs a lot because as you've probably experienced this year. There's companies that grow rapidly, and then what happens if all of a sudden they don't hit their numbers or growth starts to slow from a sales or revenue standpoint? Well, then they have to start reducing all these people that they've just been on a hiring spree for. So you want to make sure that you protect yourself from those, because you'll end up worse off than just having a lower income and not living up to these kind of higher income standards. So that's important to be aware of. Another thing that comes up with kind of your life over time as you level up in age is it's very possible you might have to start having additional responsibilities. So it could be something just having a significant other. That's a layer of responsibility, right? I have 3 children, so the responsibility is ratcheted up for me way more than it ever was when I was first in my early 20s and things like that. So that's important to be aware of too, is right now, if you're early in your career and you're watching this, maybe you don't have a significant other yet, or maybe it's you guys are a while away from having children. These are different layers of responsibility, and fortunately with responsibility usually comes with higher lifestyle, and it's just a way of life. If there's an additional person, there's going to have to be some kind of most likely some financial impacts of those things. And so take advantage of not having those responsibilities early. Yes, live your life, do some awesome fun things, memorable things, create awesome experiences. But this is also a time for you to really get ahead of the game so that when you do start having children, you don't struggle financially like so many people do. If you're living up to your income constantly and then all of a sudden you get a massive bill for delivery charges, for not for groceries or anything like that, but for having children. It's expensive to have children. It's expensive to raise children. And so take advantage of these early years when you don't have that, so that when that does happen, you're able to absorb those kind of shocks as far as expenses go much more easily. It reduces a lot of stress. You don't want any additional stress as you're going through those kind of different life cycles that you may be going through in the future, like getting married and having children. So definitely take advantage of your youth. They're being able to access a well-paying job early in your career. Maximize your employer benefits. Make sure you understand those things. Open enrollment is going on for most companies right now. So take advantage of those things, understand them, make sure you're doing the best that you can, because it'll allow you to have a lot of flexibility down the line without the added stress that most people have if they don't start doing the things that they need to early on in their career. So that was a rather quick kind of session of a few tips for you early in your career. And I think they're all very crucial. You should be able to look at those and really take those to heart. And maybe if you've realized like, that's not really how I've been living, maybe I should change things. I definitely encourage you to go ahead and do that. You don't have to wait for anything. I think that's one of the things I've noticed with this challenge, not only for myself and other challenges that I've taken, but a couple of the people that I've challenged to do the live video, they're doing things that really have been on their mind and they just needed that push. Sometimes you have to be the one that pushes yourself to just do it. So if you've listened to these tips and you're like, man, I really should figure out this, or I should really get going on this, just do it. It's change never feels good, but what does feel good is once you start realizing like, oh man, I actually am in control. I don't have to worry about this stuff anymore because I know I'm headed in the right direction. So hopefully those tips are helpful. Let me know what additional questions you have for the next 25 days of this live challenge I'm doing. Always happy to address anything specific that you want me to tackle. And then also, we're coming up on the holidays, so I'm going to have a couple of holiday tips for you as well, if not tomorrow, in the next couple of days. So I'll see what questions I get from the audience, and I will also kind of see what my wife and what clients are asking me currently, and we can kind of dig into those fun topics over the rest of this month. Thanks for joining me.